The marketing world can be such a noisy place. But what if you could create a plan for marketing your business that eliminates the noise and allows you to show up in ways that feel good to you and are aligned with your strengths? The good news is it's totally possible, and I'm going to walk you through part of that process today. Hello, and welcome to Becoming Burnout Proof, the podcast for women entrepreneurs who want to increase their income and their impact without burning out. I'm your host, Meg Bingham. I am a stress management specialist and marketing strategist, and today's episode is inspired by a delicious loaf of sourdough bread. I know it sounds totally random, but hear me out. I've hinted at this here and there, but 2024 was a big year for me health-wise. I had a breakthrough related to a chronic medical issue I've been dealing with for most of my life. It's been challenging but exciting to begin to heal my body. So one of the things I learned about my body last year was that I have around 40 food sensitivities that are messing up my gut. Cool, 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 cool. Thanks, America. But the point in me telling you this is because wheat is on my food sensitivity list, and that's why I decided to give sourdough bread baking a try. Long story long. I tried to start my own starter from scratch a couple times and failed. I finally asked my neighbor for some of her starter, and we were in business. So, as you know, I am a researcher. Learning is my preferred form of procrastination. I'd heard probably on social media that sourdough baking is a long and complicated process. So before I even started, I went all in on a deep dive, finally landing on a blog post by Alexandra's Kitchen that when printed out, it was several pages long, all about everything sourdough related. It was extremely helpful, and I was able to bake my first few loaves following her instructions. Once I felt like I had a handle on the basics, I wanted to branch out and try other things, different types of bread, like artisan versus sandwich loaves, adding inclusions, different discard recipes, all the things. I made the mistake, well, maybe mistake is the wrong word. Anyway, I joined a beginner sourdough baking group on Facebook, and it totally messed with my head. All of a sudden, there was tons of info being shared about right and wrong ways to tackle every single step of the sourdough baking process. People buy special flour, jars, jar warmers for feeding, bannetons, lanes. The list goes on and on and on. It can get really expensive. Without going on too long about this in the sourdough world, let's just say people are very opinionated about their sourdough. I found myself intimidated to even post in that group questions because people were very quick to tell others they were doing things wrong. But after practicing with sourdough for about a year and marketing for about 7, there's one key thing I've learned. Both of these things can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make them. As far as my sourdough journey, I know that sounds dramatic, but talk to another sourdough baker, it is kind of a journey. I reminded myself that sourdough has been around since before all the fancy gadgets and methods existed. Pioneers carried starter across the plains. They didn't have scales or thermometers or refrigerators or even ovens. So that's proof that it doesn't need to be complicated. In all of the overcomplicated recipes and guides, you can strip back the fluff to a few simple steps, which I learned from Alexandra's Kitchen. Ingredients, you only need 4: flour, water, starter, and salt. Tools, I use a big bowl, a small bowl, a spatula, and a knife. The steps are basic too. Feed the starter, mix the dough, ferment the dough, score and bake. Easy peasy. The same goes for marketing. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. People have a lot of strong opinions. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of marketing strategies out there designed to help you sell a course or a program, for example. The thing is, most of those strategies probably work, at least for the people who are promoting them and teaching them. So, how do you know which strategies will work for you and your business? When you're swimming out in social media land, I do a lot of networking on Facebook, so I'll use Facebook as an example. When I'm spending time on Facebook and seeing post after post or several ads in a row all promoting different programs designed to help me market my business, it can feel overwhelming sometimes. You might follow one person for a while and try their way, but you lose motivation for whatever reason, or maybe you find out you don't like to market that way. So when another person comes along showing you their way, you jump ship and follow the next shiny object. On and on and on until you've gathered a collection of tactics that may or may not align with your mission, vision, values, and the things you like to do. But that's not a bad thing. The beauty is, with every strategy you try, you get to choose what you keep and what you let go of. There are basics that you need in place for any marketing strategy to work, just like there are 4 basic ingredients in sourdough bread. But you can add whatever you want and need to. The key to success is sticking to one thing until it works instead of hopping from strategy to strategy. Get your basic recipe down first, and then you can add all the fun and fancy inclusions. So, how do you identify your one thing when there are so many different things to try? Get back to basics: flour, starter, salt, and water. Okay? I break this down in my course, Simplify Your Marketing, but essentially there are 3 stages of marketing your business. Stage 1 is connect and collaborate. This stage is all about building your network that can be online, in person, or both. Your network is a valuable asset at every stage of business growth, so stage 1 is important. In working with clients, I've seen a pattern that we often skip over this stage in favor of creating social media content. Honestly, 9 out of 10 of my clients feel so bogged down by the idea of creating content for social media that when I tell them they don't have to, it's a visible weight lifted right there on the Zoom call. I've said this before. Is social media an amazing business growth tool? Absolutely. But depending on what stage of business you're in, it may not be the best place to spend your time and energy. If you love posting on social and it's getting you consistent clients without burning you out, keep going. Remember, keep what you want and let go of what you don't. Listen, I love automating tasks in my business. It's one way to avoid burnout as a solo business owner. I've got plenty of things automated in my business. And I know we love automating those leads, especially, but we are doing ourselves a huge disservice when we skip over personal relationship building activities. If you're newish to business, you don't have an audience yet, your income is still inconsistent, or if you're still exploring what you want to be known for, do not skip stage 1, I beg you, okay? As I mentioned before, as your business grows, you'll want to continue stage 1 activities pretty much forever. Relationship building is that important. Once you're gaining momentum, have more consistent income, and a solid core offer, you can add in stage 2 activities. This is where we get into audience and authority building. Stage 2 is content creation. Now you might be thinking, but you just told me not to spend all my time on social media. Social media content is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about creating searchable, long-form content that will live forever. This might look like a blog, podcast, or a YouTube channel. Now, stage 2B, like a substage of stage 2, is repurposing your long-form content for social media. There are tools that make this super easy, but being able to outsource it makes it so much more doable. This is the stage where you'll probably want to have at least a lead generation funnel in place, super simple one, nothing complicated. Even if you're in stage 2, don't forget to keep up with your stage 1 activities because building those relationships is key. Stage 3, this is the stage a lot of people try to skip to: paid advertising and automated funnels. While you can run ads from the beginning, and some people do, I usually advise against it. The reason for that is that we gather so much valuable data when we test with organic traffic first. We're not risking any money on ad spend, and we can test and tweak as much as we want. While you can use an automated funnel at any stage of business, the distinction we make in deciding whether or not to build one is if you're able to send a good amount of traffic to the funnel. So for example, when I build a funnel for a client, we wait until we have at least 300 site visits before we make any major changes. So if you don't have a traffic plan in place to drive a good amount of people to your funnel, you might not need one yet. You'll also want to take your offer into account. We want leads, yes, but if all you're offering is one-to-one services and you only have 5 spots available, getting 500 new leads could be very problematic. You may want to build out your value ladder with a one-to-many offer in that case, so you can work with more people without adding tons of extra hours. I'm a big believer in keeping things simple in all aspects of life. From sourdough to marketing, simple is best. Pay attention to who you're taking advice from. Another important thing I learned in the sourdough group is that the true veterans who have been at it for decades all say the same thing. You'll find a way that works for you. It's not my way or you're going to fail. You'll find a way that works for you. When it comes to baking or marketing, find a way that works for you. Success leaves clues, so start with a basic recipe and add other things you want and need. Experiment, try it out, keep what works, drop what doesn't. If you want a deeper dive into my Simplify Your Marketing course, it's currently only available to members of the Work-Life Harmony Club. It walks you through all the stages. Stage 1, making sure you have foundational marketing pieces in place for your business, networking and borrowing an audience through guest opportunities and collaborations. Stage 2, we take a look at content creation, choosing a core content platform, and creating a content calendar that doesn't drain you. Stage 3, you get access to the Marketing Funnel Masterclass series and the Lead Generation Funnel Bundle that'll help you get a lead generation funnel up and running in as little as 30 minutes. If you'd like to learn more or join the club, visit worklifeharmonyclub.com. I will see you on the inside. That's all I have for you today, my friend. Be well, be kind, and I will talk to you again soon.